part 1, you will be able to identify the difference between a manager and a supervisor and know which two screens managers and supervisors can be assigned through. iSolved has two different options for people that have rights to see an employee's information besides our client users. These two options are called managers and supervisors. If a person is given the role of a manager or supervisor, they may see information about the employees that report to them, and they could be given rights to approve or reject changes that the employee has made through employee self-service. Things like approving or rejecting time-off requests, verifying their time, updating employee data, and also running reports on those employees are things that we could give both managers and supervisors access to do. Some companies only have managers within their company. For example, one manager is in charge of each department. This is a more simple setup. Now, some companies have a manager that's in charge of a large department, but also has two supervisors that help them with day-to-day tasks. In this scenario, we would assign both a manager and a supervisor to an employee. The manager would be over the supervisor and all of their employees. Let's go ahead and log into iSolved and take a look at some options. Managers and supervisors can be assigned to employees on multiple screens. We could use either our jobs or our organization manager supervisor screen. Both are located under employee management. Let's get started by looking at our job screen. So under employee management, I'm going to navigate to employee maintenance and click on the jobs link. Once we select the link, we need to choose which employee's job screen we would like to look at. I'll choose Caprice Benedict from the list, and we'll notice that our job screen loads. The job screen gives you the ability to say which position or which job is the employee holding with the company. We could also assign any labor values, any division or departments that an employee could be assigned to. But you'll notice at the bottom, what I mainly want to focus on right now is we have the ability to associate a manager and or a supervisor from this section. Now, in order to apply a manager or supervisor, there is some additional setup that is necessary, but we'll review the setup in part 2 of this training. For now, I want you to know that the job screen allows you to go employee by employee and associate a manager and or a supervisor. Now, on top of being able to go employee by employee and manually add this information, you may also import the information using our employee import feature. Now, the second screen that I want to talk about is our organization manager supervisor screen. So on the left-hand side, under employee management, employee maintenance, and just beneath our job screen, we've got our organization manager supervisor link. This screen is pretty straightforward as it gives you the ability to use your current organization values to set up a manager or a supervisor. So an example may be a manager can see the entire accounting department. So if we chose Add New on our action bar, you're choosing is this for all legal companies or just a specific legal company? We're choosing our organization field. Now, your organization field may be different than mine. Within my demo company, I have division or department. And then organization values. Which one are we associating to this manager or supervisor? So let's say, for example, accounting. Just beneath that, you get to choose, are they a manager or are they a supervisor? And by selecting this, you're saying our employee, Caprice Benedict, is the manager over anybody that has the department accounting associated to them in all of my legal companies. So rather than going employee by employee, organization manager supervisor allows you to go based on organization field and values. You have made it to the end of part 1 of this training. At this time, you can log out and come back to part 2 at any time, or you can move forward right into part 2. Welcome to part 2 of the Manager-Supervisor Setup training. After completing part 2 of this training, you will be able to use the job screen to apply managers and supervisors. We'll also review creating a job for a manager and supervisor and applying the job to that manager or supervisor. Now, we reviewed the 2 screens where managers and supervisors can be added in part 1, but let's now focus on just the jobs method. So I'm going to go ahead and pull iSolved up, and we're going to navigate to Client Management, Job, and Jobs. So on the left-hand side, I'll choose Client Management, Job, and then select my Jobs link. There is some setup to get our job screen to function with managers and supervisors. The job screen on the client level allows you to create all of the different jobs or positions, is what I like to call them, that an employee could be doing within the company. With each job that you add, you have the ability to determine if the job allows for managing or supervising others. So as we look through my list, I'm going to select my accounting manager. And if we come down just a little bit in the screen on the second half, you'll notice that the Manages Others is checked. So this is telling me that this accounting manager has the ability to manage other employees. You'll notice just beneath it, there's a checkbox that says Supervise Other Employees. So we would set up a job for somebody that could supervise. So let's go ahead and add a job into the system together. I'm going to choose Add New on our action bar, and we're going to start from the top and work our way to the bottom. The first thing that we need to do is enter in a job code. This can be any code that you would like and could be alphanumeric. So I'm going to call mine I123. My job title is going to be the name of the position or job that the employee could be hired into. So I'm going to call this one Implementation Manager. Just beneath that, we have the ability to attach the job to a job group or even a salary grade. Now, if you'd like to set these up, you'll notice on the left-hand side under Client Management, we've got job groups, and we could also search for salary grades to set those up. EEO category is our next line item on the list. Now, although this is not required, it can be added for reporting purposes. So we could choose the EEO category, and then beneath it, we can choose whether this job should be qualified as exempt or non-exempt. The next part of the job setup is where we can determine the following. Is this job for seasonal employees? Is this job for union employees? Can someone attached to this job manage others? So we want to select this box if we want the employees with this job title to appear in the manager search on that employee job screen we looked at in part 1. Now, because I called my job title Implementation Manager, I'm going to select the Manages Others. The next checkbox, can someone attached to this job supervise others? This is the same thing. We would want to select this checkbox if we want the employees with this job title to appear in the supervisor search on the employee level job screen. Now, is inactive, we have the ability to inactivate a job if you are no longer using it. We can set up default workers' comp codes. And then just beneath that, we have the ability to set a default manager or default supervisor. An example of why you might use the defaults is, let's say that the implementation manager is a job that is only assigned to one person. Now, maybe the implementation team has 5 managers. You would just use our Manages Others or Supervise Others checkbox. But if there's only one manager, you could set the default manager or default supervisor search just by using an employee's last name or employee ID. So I'll type in my manager, GR, and you'll notice that one of my managers, Robert Gronkowski, is in our list. If we set Robert as the default manager, anybody who has the implementation manager job assigned to them would automatically get Robert Gronkowski listed as their manager. So anytime you add a new implementation manager, Robert Gronkowski would automatically be assigned to them. Now, on our right-hand side, you'll notice that we have a spot for you to enter in a job summary or job description. Just know that these are for record purposes only and do not transfer to the employee's record. Once you've added your job in, if we choose Save from the list, you'll notice that our implementation manager job is now listed. So now that we've reviewed setting a job up, let's go add them to our employee records. So to get there, once again, we're going to go to Employee Management, Employee Maintenance, and click on our Jobs link. Now I'm going to choose my list icon up at the top left-hand side of the screen to get back to my employee listing, and I'm going to choose a new employee from the list, and maybe I'll choose Mitch Little. Now this screen allows you to set default information for the employees. So we can see that Mitch already has a job in place for him, and it has an effective date of November 13th of 2013. So let's go ahead and add a new record in together. We're going to start by hitting our Add New button at the top of the screen on our blue action bar, and you'll notice that our date automatically populates with our current date. Now you can adjust this date to be whatever you would like to. For our example, I'm going to keep the effective date as today. This is just the date that the new job, location, department, manager, supervisor, etc. is going to take effect. Beneath that, we have the ability to enter in a change reason. Now, you can see that I don't have change reasons set up in my system, but it's not required to use those. You can add change reasons in to help you keep track of why jobs are changing. And you can edit that list by going to Company Management, Tables, and Change Reasons. So if you wanted to add those, you could do that at any time. For now, we're going to jump on to the next line item, which is our job. So which job do we want to be assigned to Mitch? So for my drop-down, I'm actually going to choose my implementation manager job that we just created together. You'll notice when I select this, some information automatically populates for us. And Robert Gronkowski is automatically populating as Mitch's manager. So because I set that up on the job level, when I assign that job to an employee, it auto-populates. So we chose our job from the list. We do have the ability to choose a default division or department if we'd like to. We can choose a new workers' comp code rather than just the default. We can enter in a SOC code if we would like to. And the last part is to choose if we want to enter in a new manager, a supervisor, and then any compensation plans or policy group overrides. Now, I already have Robert Gronkowski listed as the manager, and I'm going to say that Mitch doesn't have a supervisor. Manager is all he has at his level. Up at the top, if we choose Save on our blue action bar, we'll notice that a new line item is in place. So it's telling us that effective on August 31st of 2016, Mitch is now the implementation manager. He's tied to the 8803 Workers' Comp Code, and his exempt status is non-exempt. I have completed part 2 of this training. You have made it to the end of part 2 of this training. At this point, you can log off and come back to part 3 at any time, or you can move forward right on to part 3. Welcome to part 3 of the Manager Supervisor Setup Training. After completing part 3, you will be able to use the Organization Manager and Supervisor screen and run reports to check your Manager Supervisor setup. We have talked about using the Job screen. Let's go ahead and access iSolved and look at our Organization Manager and Supervisor option. We are going to navigate under Employee Management, Employee Maintenance, and click on our Organization Manager Supervisor screen. Once we select the link, we've got to choose an employee, and I want to choose somebody who is a manager or is a supervisor. Now I'm going to choose Debbie Lucky from the list, and you'll notice our Organization Manager Supervisor screen populates. Now this screen gives you the ability to set a manager or a supervisor up based on your organization fields. So to do this, we'll simply hit Add New on our blue action bar, and let's go through our options. The first thing we get to choose is, are we setting up a manager or supervisor for all legal companies or just one legal company within our list? I'm going to keep this at all legal companies, and then we get to choose our organization field. Now keep in mind your organization fields may differ from mine, but in my demo account I have divisions and departments. I'm going to choose department from the list, and then I'm going to get a list of values that match my organization department. So from the list, I'm going to choose accounting, and what I'm saying at this point is I am going to set up either a manager or a supervisor for my accounting department. Now beneath that, I can choose, is Debbie Lucky going to be the manager or the supervisor over this accounting department? I'm going to choose the Is Supervisor role, and then I'm going to choose Save up here at the top. You'll notice that a line item has been created at the top of the screen, letting us know that for all legal companies and Department 101, Debbie is a supervisor. So this means that any employee associated to that accounting department is going to automatically have Debbie listed as their supervisor. Now let's say that Debbie's also over the front of house. Well, we've already added a record in here. How do you suppose we would add an additional record? Well, we do the exact same thing we just did. I'm going to choose Add New from the list, and I'm going to start filling out my options. So I'm going to choose Department, and then I'm going to choose my front of house, and this time I'm going to say she's the manager. And then up here at the top, I choose Save. So you can add individual records for an employee, or you can add multiple records based on how many areas they might manage or supervise. Now at the bottom of the screen, you'll notice we've got some reports. These reports allow you to double check the setup that you've just done. The first report is to check the setup for the employee that you're looking at. So in our example, it would be Debbie. This will allow you to see who or what area they're able to manage or supervise, or they're set up to manage or supervise. You'll notice we have the ability to choose Report or Export. Report pulls up in a PDF format, Export pulls up in Excel. So if I choose the Report option, we're going to notice a PDF version of this report appears, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can see what it looks like. But you'll notice it's giving us the employee's name, so we can see Debbie's name here, which legal company she's associated to as far as managing or supervising, which organization field and organization value we set up, and whether she's the manager or the supervisor. So we can see that for the accounting department, she's the supervisor, and for front of house, she's the manager. Now I'm going to close out of this report, and just beneath that report, we've got the view set up for all organization managers and supervisors. This one provides you a list of all managers and supervisors set up in the company through organization manager supervisor setup. Once again, if you choose Report, it's going to be a PDF version. If you choose the Export, it's going to be an Excel version. Now there's one other report that we can run to be sure that all employees have a manager or a supervisor assigned to them by either the job screen or our organization manager supervisor screen. Let's go ahead and navigate on the left-hand side to Reporting and Client Reports. Now that we're under Client Reports, you'll notice that all of my reports are listed in alphabetical order. We're going to look for the report called Employee Manager Supervisor Export. So as I scroll through my list, I'm going to find my Employee Manager Supervisor Export, and on the right-hand side, I can determine if I would like to filter the report by a specific legal company, pay group, or even employee status. If not, up here at the top, I'm going to choose Generate Report and go to my Reports queue. Once we get to the Reports queue, on the right-hand side, I'm going to choose View Report, and we're going going to get an Excel version of our employee, manager, supervisor listings. So what you'll notice is this is quite a large report because it's giving me all of my employees. So what we want to look at mainly is our very last column, no managers or supervisors. So the system, if it notices that a manager or a supervisor has not been assigned to an employee, is going to flag them with an X. So we can see that Jerry Lewis and also Michael McCarthy do not have a manager or supervisor set up. At this point, we could go in and assign a manager or supervisor through either the job screen or by using our organization manager supervisor screens. So once again, this report just displays who has a manager or supervisor and who does not. And this becomes super important if you want to use the time off request feature or even the performance review, as each employee needs to have a manager or supervisor to utilize those features to the best of their ability.